in our last session, we talked about two big missionary organizations. One was UMCA, University Mission to Central Africa, was created by university people, lecturers and students. They came to bring the gospel to East Africa, but UMCA focused on coastal area and Zanzibar, and they wanted us to go to Malawi, but after famine and some malaria hit them, they could not continue. They have to close the mission area, and they went back to Zanzibar. And there they started the diocese. The Zanzibar was the first diocese in Anglican Church in Tanzania, because Diocese of Zanzibar. Then it had to, to give birth or whatever happened, but other dioceses came from that diocese, became 9 new dioceses. That was UMCA, Western Mission, University Mission Central Africa. And you can read this. They're too small. Anyway, this just was kind of a recap of what happened last time. But now we're talking about CMS. CMS is also Church Missionary Society. It's a British thing. It started in England in those years. After revival of a preaching of a missionary, they thought maybe we should go and preach in Africa. So they came to Africa, but their plan was to go to Uganda, because the explorers, the one who were sent, they were told that there are people in East Africa. They have a structure leadership. They have a structure management. They have structure of kind of administering their own people. So we believe these people can receive the gospel. And they have to write a letter to England that there are people here. There is a kingdom.
And then you want to
Baganda or Buganda. We think
hit mute.
Receive the gospel. So after some times, they have to send people aiming to go to Uganda, not to Tanzania. So that was the CMS mission going to Uganda. And on their way to Uganda, those people were helping them to carry stuff. They were cooking for them. Runaway slaves. They were the first Christians. They were the first people to become Christian. So the church in Tanzania, in its early time, started by slaves, those who ran away from the slavery, and those who cooked for the missionaries, those who carried luggages for there was no carriers, there was no cars, remember? There was no train. You needed 100 or 200 people carrying your stuff. You see, if you have a big or huge bed, someone will carry one piece of the wood and the other one. That was the way they transport. But also, they discovered Uganda because they wanted to see the source of River Nile. So once they navigate the River Nile, they will be able to, to transport the stuff through the River Nile. They want to use their ship, from Egypt, from Mediterranean Sea, all the way to East Africa using River Nile. That's what they wanted. Then that way they discovered Uganda. So Tanzania was not part of their mind, was not part of their mission. This happened just because it was accidental. We became Christian because we were not intended to be. Their plan was to go to other places.
When the Germans were in East Africa, did they do much to establish the Lutheran churches in the area? Back before World War I.
Yeah, it was before World War I. They tried and they established some few churches, but when the British came in, they took the churches. They became Anglicans. But after some time, they demanded some few centers. They got it back. I remember in Dar es Salaam, they got their cathedral back, but in other places, no, because even in my area, we had hospital started by the Germans, but when the British came, they did some kind of extension. They said, no, they were not giving back this one. and some and some other places. So it was very interesting. When the Germans were building Tanzania, they wanted, they built a railway line, but it was, to transport raw material for them. This was after kind of European Industrial Revolution. So they need a lot of materials. They built a railway line to transport stuff for them to Dar es Salaam and, and to Europe. So now we can see just the other kind of a last part of a CMS work in Tanzania, when they focus now on establishing institution for holistic work. They came, it's still a problem, not a big, but I think it's still a problem. Many churches in Tanzania, especially evangelical, their major focus is go to live to heaven. You accept Jesus, you die, you go to heaven.
But not education or healthcare or any of those things.
And so it has been there for a long time, but when they came, they started to establish some institutions. Holistic mission work, it means they help them to understand the gospel, but also to work some physical work, to do education, to do all kind of craft, all kind of technology. They may be able to, to be healthy people, to eat good food, and to just to live normal life instead of focusing going to heaven. Because it has caused a lot of problems. One church, I think in Uganda, there's almost 700 people, if not 700, not 7,000. The preacher preached about going to heaven for a long time, and sometimes the people demanded, why, when, how are we going, when? And they locked in the church and they lit the church. The church was on fire. I don't know if anyone escaped, but all people died because they wanted to go to heaven. As I speak now, there's a case in Mombasa. The priest went to the bush with the people that they should fast for 40 days and die and go to heaven. So that's the big problem in now in East Africa. People, whenever they become Christian, their focus is go to heaven. But this missionary, when they started, they said, no, we need to have some kind of education institution to give this education. So they focus on primary education, secondary education, and the people were somehow forced to go to these schools because they didn't see the value of going to school, but they have to be helped. But also they built hospitals. They started it for themselves because they knew indigenous, they have their own way of treating any kind of illness. But when they realized also this indigenous wanted to share this Western medicine, then they realized, no, we need to build a hospital. Then we need to build a school. Then we need to build a medical school. That's the way it started. So they saved people spiritually and physically.
And that's the Church Missionary Society
Yeah,
that did that.
yeah. But also, they were not building schools straight away. People started, the school was called Bush School. They were just under the tree. They focus just teach people how to read and write. Read and write. Then they did a lot of translation work. They wrote the Swahili dictionary from English to Swahili and Swahili to English. And they started Bible schools and theological colleges and development programs. All this went together because people, when they've been saved for a long time, they accepted Jesus for a long time, and they didn't go to heaven, then there are some questions. So how are we going to survive? Because some people sold everything. As the New Testament says, the New Testament, they sold everything to want to live together. And some place they try to do that Jesus is coming very, very soon. So we don't have to have anything. So it was very interesting in those days, but there it was. Then these people slowly have to change the mind of the people. No, we are not going tomorrow to heaven. We have 70, we have 80 years, we've even 100 years. So can we build a school? Can we build a hospital to teach our children? So it was like that. And the missionary did that thinking everybody will embrace it. But some place when the missionary retired or went back to their land, those institutions died. They didn't know how to handle it. They were not trained to take care of this kind of thing. So the CMS, they started East Africa as one diocese because it was Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania as one diocese. very big diocese. It's the 3 countries. And it was 1884, and James Huntington was the first bishop in this equatorial diocese. They called Eastern Equatorial Africa. This includes the Germans' territory and the British in Uganda and Kenya. And then in 1960, they created a province called the Province of East Africa. This also was Kenya and Tanzania, because Uganda was independent. You know, as I said, Uganda was kind of favored. So Uganda was independent province, but Tanzania and Kenya, it was one province. But in 1970, I think, also it was divided into Tanzanian Church province, with Tanzanian Church province. But in when it was East African kind of province, it was Diocese of Mombasa. You know, Mombasa is in Kenya, so it was called Diocese of Mombasa. Mombasa is from Mombasa to Tanzania. It was one diocese. Then they divided it again. So Tanzania to be independent from Diocese of Mombasa. In 1970, the Church Province of Tanzania was registered as the Anglican Church of Tanzania. And we have our first Bishop John Sepeko. And then, as I said, the CMS, UNCA, focus on Zanzibar and coastal area. The CMS focus on the mainland. So it's like two dioceses. One diocese for the UMCA, which was the High Church, the Anglo-Catholic Church, and another diocese for the Evangelical, the CMS. And this diocese was almost 2/3 of Tanzania was one diocese, and 1/3 was the High Church diocese. So the administration was very, very a problem, because the transport, there was no roads. Remember all of these, there was no good roads, not good transportation, no good communication. People were struggling. But from this one diocese, which was 2/3 of the country, it created 13 different dioceses. Yeah. So as we speak now, if you put together the High Church and the Low Church, I think of 29 different dioceses, so 29 bishops. And so our bishop is the Archbishop, but in Tanzania, the Archbishop is ceremonial. He cannot hire and fire. We have a General Secretary, is the one who can hire and fire. But if you go to Kenya, the Archbishop is the one can hire and fire. If you go to Uganda, it's kind of halfway, you know. But in Kenya, different, because the Archbishop has his own diocese, the Diocese of Archbishop. So whoever becomes Archbishop in Kenya is transferred to that particular diocese.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So from that diocese, he can hire and fire. But for other dioceses, we call them, or we call him, first among equals. I don't know if it works, but that they call it first among equals. Because each diocese has its own constitution. It is autonomous. So for him, what he does always is consultation. If you want to remove or the fire bishop, he cannot do that because he was elected with the diocesan constitution. But now we say, in order to harmonize, we say anything conflict the national constitution will override it. But people want to stick into their own small constitution and the small diocese because they can play whatever they want there. So the archbishop is almost a ceremonial. He doesn't have the power to remove any bishop, any priest from any diocese. What he does is consultation. And if they want to punish any diocese, the punishment will be just to excommunicate. We're not sharing with you. We cannot work with you. We cannot consecrate bishop from your diocese. So they just excommunicate. That's the highest punishment they can get. That's we don't work with you anymore. We will not call you to our meetings. We will not regard you as our our friend. Yeah. It's like children, when they know we're in the same family, when you want to punish your fellow sibling, you just frown, you know. I don't want to play with you, just that. So that's the way it is. So one dust can say, no, I don't like you, Tanzanian province. The whole church called the province in Tanzania. One does say, no, I don't like you, I will join a province, the Anglican province of Malawi. They can be part of the Anglican Church of Malawi. Or they can say, oh, no, I don't even deserve it. I want to join the church province of Australia. I'm Anglican, because remember, we are all an Anglican communion.
Mhm.
So they can join any province they want. Yeah, if they say, no, the province of Tanzania, they don't want to ordain women, but the province of Kenya, they ordain women. And if you do not agree, I'm going to join the Kenyan province. They do that. So we can have dioceses in Africa, but their province can be in other countries because they do not agree with the Archbishop. So there's that kind of a freedom. It's very strange, but that's how it works. Anglican communion, no one can go away. You can be there, whether we like each other or we don't like each other, we are together.
Well, that's pretty much, that's smart, yeah.
It's very interesting. So that is the Anglican Church in Tanzania. And if there's any question about the work of CMS in Tanzania?
So CMS is still functioning in Tanzania or not?
Not really. Sometimes they change it into partnership.
Mhm.
They said, if you have anything, we can work together. Then, because sometimes the economy, I think, went down. I don't know, all over the world. They said, no, you cannot be independent. So from early 70s to 80s, almost all missionaries from CMS, from UMCA, they went back to England. So whoever comes in now, he comes in or she comes in as an expert on a particular profession. You can have a doctor. They can send a doctor. They can send maybe a professor in a university, but not ruling anything. They come there as an individual and being employed by whatever the church in England, but work to help some people in Tanzania. Yeah, but in those days, we were the one having the power to hire and to fire. Yeah. So we're still continuing as partners now, as partners in Christ, but they are not overruling anything. They're not authorizing anything for the church in Tanzania.
So do you have partnerships with hospitals and partnerships with theological schools?
Yeah.
Um,
Even Bible school, theological colleges. Yeah. But they're keeping declining. And as they used to have what they called a committee, they called Interdiocesan Council, which was kind of a missionary committee where they can see where there is a need to send a missionary for. They send them not for doing evangelism anymore. It's only for professionals like hospitals, education, health issues, or development programs. So that's what they're doing now. It's because, well, these 29 bishops, more than 2,000 priests. Yeah, so
Are self-sufficient?
it should be. Yeah, they're struggling, but it should be. Some of them are self-sufficient, but majority, they're struggling because very few people, those who live in urban area, they can have enough funds to pay for their priest, but the rest, they can have a half salary, but it's different because they can also do other businesses. You can see a priest somewhere, he's having his own project, big farm or shop or whatever. So they're not entirely depending on the church salary because it's almost not possible to get the full salary. So but in rural areas, in town, it's okay. But in rural areas, it's almost, though they don't call it part-time, but they kind of work part-time because the churches cannot afford to pay the salary. Because also I don't know how this economic system works because their currency is unit is very low. It can be, for example, at the moment, if you have $1 here, you have to have 2,000 shillings to get $1.
Really?
Yeah. So you can see we have money, but valueless because the dollar is reserved for everybody. I don't know. The Chinese and the Russians, they're trying to break away from dollar. I don't know if they will succeed, but because of the dollar decide who becomes rich, who becomes poor. Because they can give them debt, they can lend them money, but you have to pay back in dollar. For you to pay back in dollar, you have to earn the dollar.
So you get lent money in shillings, but you pay back in dollars.
You pay back in dollars. So for you to get to pay in dollars, you have to work a lot harder to get the value of dollar to pay back. That's why you find people are struggling all the time because dollar is controlling the economy.
Interesting to see when China comes in, because China's trying to take over.
Yeah, in the end, they'll be doing the same because they're the same people, the same human. Yeah.
You mentioned before about China and the effect it's been having on Tanzania and East Africa in general. You said, you talked one time about building things, lending money, and then controlling what?
When they come as a friend, they come as a good people. They give you money. They can not only give you, but build whatever you want. You want a stadium, you want airport, you want a railway, they build for you. They give you a very nice conditions, but you put collateral. Can be your port, the airport, ministry of whatever, big things. But the way they write their contract, they know if you miss a certain point, you will not be able to pay the debt. Since you put the collateral, you are mining ministry. Then you see, after 5 years, we agree that if you fail to pay the debt, we will take over your money. Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah. Now they've taken over Zambia airport, Zambian copper mine. They're controlling now. Even in Kenya, they're controlling railway, and there are several countries they've done that because sometimes we are not good in being responsible to deal with economic systems, because we have some kind of nepotism and whatever. So people cannot work properly to produce profit as they were promised, because they steal money, they do this, they do. So sometimes we cause it ourselves because we are not sincere to our agreement. That's why, yeah. It's not only the Chinese, but IMF does the same, World Bank does the same, even the individual countries do the same. So Africa is always paying debt. It does not anything for themselves. It's always paying debt. For example, in Gabon, in Mali, and 2 or 3 countries which was colonized by French, their reserve is in French. Whatever money they get, they have to keep it in the French bank. The French bank will decide how much money they'll give those countries, because they say, we build infrastructure for you, we build this for you, so you have to pay us back. So it's very hard. Okay, let me allow now Jemima to do the final presentation.
She does get a word in edge.
So we have this kind of philosophy of belief that training a woman is training a village, because a woman is always naturally training others. As women, sometimes we want to do things for ourselves, but women, we train children, we train whatever, because they're always children and the people. At least in our context, women, we always have people around them, and they will train others. And so this presentation will focus on women, because we did for general ones and last time, but it seems some people wanted to see how we help girls. So
a woman trains you,
yeah,
and then expects you to follow her example the rest of your life.
Well, of course. Well, but the other one.
There's a shame city has it.
So here, Jemima kind of visiting girls who are doing in the construction area or in the field. So she visited them and encouraged them because they're minority. Because it seems all the craft work, technology work, heavy work is for men. But she went there to encourage them. And what can you say anything about this one?
So for this one is girls. We had the girls in 15 who were learning about buildings.
Construction.
Yeah, yes. So we went to visit them. They were doing field here.
Okay.
So this is for a few, but there are 15 girls.
Okay.
And the boys were 35.
So 15 girls and 35 boys.
Yeah. For one fun, fun.
Because this was masonry class.
Masonry only.
Yeah.
How old were these girls?
15 up to 29 for girls only. But for men, 15 to 35.
Oh, interesting.
Mm.
So as young as 15 and as old as 29 for girls and the women, but as young as 15 and as old as 35 for the boys and the men.
Yes.
Because women in that particular age, they'll be already engaged in
And
family
they're
issues.
being married and having children.
Yeah, yeah. So here you can see she's the only lady there, trying to do the plastering and the wire and mixing the soil, the cement, and they are doing plastering in a particular wall in a building. But can see just to wear trousers because we don't wear trousers in Tanzania as a common kind of things. But when it comes to working this kind of construction, they have to wear trousers, whether they like it or because it's good for them.
Much safer.
Yeah. So before they start any business a day, they have to meet together in a big room for prayers.
This is your school, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this includes Muslims, Christians, those non-religious, male and female. Everybody's here. And after prayers, this is a Christian prayers. I don't know when you'll ask the Muslim, how do they pray? They pray like Muslims?
No.
We have a prayer book, we create a prayer book. It is in English, a small one, so we encourage them to try to learn and speak. So everybody will join this. It's compulsory, I think, must attend this class before we start other training. So we are trying to speak to them every morning in terms of their commitment to work for their own future, but also their commitment to take care of their family, but encouraging them to go through the course and finish it, because sometimes they lose hope, they just disappear. They don't come to class anymore. Because some of them used to take drugs before, some of them come from broken families, some of them collect them from the street where they had nothing to do but just jumping up and down and being street robbers, whatever. So we convince them to come. Sometimes they do the same in our school. If we forget to lock the door and the computer is there, they go and sell for drugs.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's very challenging, but I told Jemima several times, can we quit and do something else? She said, no, we need to help people. It's not necessarily we get profit from it, but at least we should help these people, because the system, the educational systems does not allow them to use their education to be employed after they complete that. Even the university ones, once they complete, there is no employment. Some of them, they come and join these courses to get skills so they can do them, because once they learn how to use computer, they can have the probably called secretarial services. they type other people's work, they make receipts, they make adverts, whatever. And those who are doing masonry, they can employ by themselves, or they can work in other construction company. And those who are doing electricity, domestic electricity, they can do wiring to houses, and so they can be employed. But those who come from administration degree from university,
Wow.
what are you going to do with it? You come with a degree with rural psychology. What do you do with it? Because there's so many of them, 1,000 graduating every year.
From university.
From university, yeah, 1,000.
Well, that's happening here in the United States.
Yeah, that's true.
And so this training, it helps them to get some skills. Some continues because the government has allowed us to do, because trade exams is the lower one is trade 1, 2, and 3. Once they pass, they can also go to higher education institution. They can do a diploma or first degree from this.
From your school.
Yeah, yeah. Because all the examination is controlled by the government. Even the qualification of the teachers is controlled by the government. So we don't have enough money to have many of them full-time. We have 2 or 3, I think, they're full-time. The rest are the one they come teach. We pay for their time.
For that one
For
course.
for one course, yeah. So that happens there. And so because of this new challenge now, it's a challenge because these buildings, this is a temporary building we built, this one particular, but other classes we are renting from the diocesan compound. And from March next year, they need their buildings. So it is up to us now, me and Jemima, and maybe you, to find out what we'll do from next year to have our classes so that we continue with this ministry. Because I told Jemima, we can just stop it and do something else. It's a lot of work. You know, these are 200. This is short courses, but also have long courses for 2.5 years. We have girls who are doing secretarial classes, those who are doing electricity, and which other long course? Masonry. So you have to have them for 2 years. And last year we were told, no, we need them to add more years to have more experience. So it's 2.5 years. I said, this is too much. Can we just get a break and something else? She says, no, we don't do it, we'll do it.
Well, and she's there and working.
Because I want her here with me. You see? So sometimes they cannot pay any fees, but you have to make sure they have lunch, and they have all these utilities. They have electricity, they have water, and Wi-Fi. So sometimes we get from our own earning, from my stipend, sometimes I have to send her to pay the teachers. That's why I ask the question, why do we keep doing it? But it's in our heart. Yeah, because if no one will do it, these guys, remember, how many do we have done since we started? It's more than 1,000 since we started. More than 1,000. They've got this kind of skills. They're now being respected in the community because they can do things.
Well, that's how you build the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By having the basics.
Yeah.
Everybody knowing how to do the basics.
Yeah, yeah. So that's it. I don't know if you have any questions.
Yeah, how can we do it?
I don't know yet because this school is registered by the government. We have an account with the name of the Doma Vocational Training Center. But sometimes I realize banking system. Yeah. So sometimes when I get anything to support her, I send money through Western Union or MoneyGram. Yeah, those are the major means. There are so many, but these are the 2 I use. Because once the money goes through bank, no, you lose everything. Yeah.
If you can just let us know how.
Yeah, I will. Because we have to continue, because otherwise I lose my friend here.
And you've been married how long?
And also the government is, they called her, the government office, they called her because she was told by the government, this building you are using, the owners, they want to take it because they want to start another training. You see?
I thought you built this building.
This one, yes, this one is temporary.
Oh, okay.
This is temporary. It in their land, not in our land,
Oh,
because we thought we need this one. But in our land, that we need to start from the scratch. Yeah, we might negotiate this one because it is on their land. We might negotiate how much they can pay us back, or they can say you can use it if you want. We don't know what to do with it, but from January next year, it's very interesting. These people sometimes they came, which was unusual to us. They measure the land. This I know it's America. Now you rent a place. They measure a square meter.
they survey it.
Yeah, and I was, what are you doing? They, no, that's the way it is. Then it says, no, we can't. Yeah, it's very interesting. How do you pay per meter square? They measure every meter at its price.
Or in our case, it would be square feet.
Square feet.
So many square feet
Yeah,
cost this much.
yeah.
Well, even when we had the preschool downstairs,
Yeah.
The church is a non-profit organization, but the preschool was a for-profit organization.
Okay.
Who rented space from us.
Yeah.
And so they had to pay taxes. Only they taxed us because we were the people with the building, and they did it by the number of students and the square footage that they were using.
That's interesting.
And then the teacher, the director of the school then paid the church.
Oh, okay.
So she paid the taxes, but we were charged.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, she closed it in June. She got really sick. Yeah. She was here on Easter. She's feeling better, but she's a long way to go. Yeah. Yeah, we miss all those little children too.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening to us. And I hope you will keep praying for us, that we should not give up and continue to help the people. Because there are a lot of people coming to her and tell her thank you because their life has been changed. We had two or three girls who became painters after these courses. They're now taking care of the whole family. This girl was divorced and with two kids, and so was divorced. Her husband died. Yeah, husband died. He left her with two kids. So she was devastated, but no, she's more than happy.
Because she can take care
She
of the children.
yeah. And even her parents, yeah, because she get a lot of money doing the painting work. Yeah. The program was intended after they complete their classes, they go back there, they get employment. Once they get proper salary, a certain percent should come to our school. But it never happened. Yeah, because we raise funds to pay for their fees. We raise funds to pay for their lunch. We raise funds to pay for their boarding. So the program we intended is that once they start their work, they should pay back a certain percent of what they come for at least 5 years before. It's like a loan you get here, but this is not our tradition. You see, once you give someone, it's gone.
Does the government help with the lunches?
At the moment, no. There was an organization, like sometimes the World Vision International or Compassion International. Sometimes they do support few students. Yeah.
Well, hopefully some of your students that are learning all of these crafts will be able to build you a new building.
Yeah, there you go.
What we were expecting once they finish, when we start building, we will invite them back to help us build. Yeah.
Free.
They pay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We own. Yeah.
On this building.
From this building is the diocese, but the land we want to build our school is our land. Yeah, yeah.
So the diocese, your diocese had a school and Janima worked there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then they closed it.
Yeah,
And then you opened yours and said, can we use your building?
yeah,
And they said, yes.
yeah,
Now they want their buildings.
yeah. It's very interesting, you know, because it's like it's challenging them. That's a problem. They feel we are challenging them that you should be doing this, but you failed.
And so we're doing it, and then they're gonna say, oh,
Yeah.
well, you better do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, at least it's a motivation.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because people ask them, why did you fail? This lady here and the husband is not even here. She can do this. Why the whole house can fail to do this? You see, that's the challenge. So
Well, it is a challenge.
they are so uncomfortable seeing she kind of continues to support the community, and the big institution like diocese fail to do that because some of the students are pastors' children.
Oh.
Yeah, 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 and they want it for free
Oh.
because these are church buildings. So they send their children. They say, no, this is church building. They can just study there for free.
Yeah,
So
but the teaching is not free.
no, it is not.
They can sit in the building for free.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have anything to say?
Yes. So, yes, let us start. And yes, thank you for listening to us about the ministry we are doing in Tanzania. So, yes, for prayer, don't forget me. So, sure, I have a lot of young people, and I needed to help them. I need to help them. Michael was telling me that stop, please. And yeah, I told him that even as there is somebody before they were helping us until here, this time when the Michael is here, there is somebody helping him until this time. So I told him we needed to continue to help the young people, girls and the boys there. So please continue to pray for this challenge, and I think God will help us to continue. I have rent there. I asked the government to give me a loan. And when I was here, they asked me that they need my picture there. So I needed to go back and to take my picture to give them. So I don't know how much can you give me a loan for building the classes. So thank you so much. I'm enjoying to be here for your kindness. So when I arrived here, some people helping me clothes and many things here until to go to the hotel to stay 3 days. So thank you so much, and thank you for Tamsang praying for me, and all of you. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Safe travels.
Okay, thank you.
Amen.
Can we add the school to the prayer list on the bulletin, and then I'll remember to include it then during morning prayer.
Okay.
Right. Well, thank you both.
Thank you. Is this the end of my
program? Do you have another class?
This was it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right.
Sorry,
Confused.
sorry, I'm forgetting one word. You're welcome to Tanzania.
Easter
There
a week
is
late.
the zoo.
Easter a week late.
And we have a long mountain amount.
The highest mountain in
Highest
Africa is Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro,
I think the
Kilimanjaro.
biggest game park in Africa is in Tanzania. Come
So
see,
you
yeah.
can come and
You could
visit
Serengeti.
because me, I'm there. I can receive you.
I can host you.
Host you at home. So you are welcome. the door is opening. Now we are together, relationship. So
So you can come and visit Tanzania.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.